welcome here to TalkFCB and welcome back to the channel here today, guys, for a full transfer roundup video. We're going to be going through so many different topics in today's video, and it is all going to be really big stuff regarding Barca right now. We're going to be talking about Marc-Andre TER STEGEN's future, Ansu Fati may be on his way out. We've also got real debate here on Diaz and Marcus Rashford as well. There's lots going on and plenty more along with all of that. Thank you indeed here for joining me, and without further ado, let's get to it! Because I would like to start first of all, guys, actually, by just having a little look here at some brand new images of the new Spotify Camp now. And these are appearing more and more frequently now. We're getting more and more updates as we're just getting so excited because the build is really coming on nicely. It's really starting to take shape ahead of next season when we will return to our home. And just look at some of these images here. It looks absolutely fantastic, you know, so clean, so fresh. And I also love, let's be honest here, how close the fans will be again to the pitch. You know, I think the Olympic Stadium, it tried its best, you know, we tried to make it our home, but at the end of the day, with that running track, with all of that space between the pitch and the fans, it's tough to build an atmosphere, it's tough there to get up close and personal with the action. I mean, this right here, imagine when it is all done, all fully complete, and you're going to have over 100,000 fans under one roof. It's going to be absolutely unbelievable, and I cannot wait there to see us back at the Camp Nou next season, counting down the minutes already, and the work looks absolutely terrific right now. However though, guys, not every player will get to experience the new stadium. Not every single player that was here in this campaign will be here for the next one. And let's talk here about Ansu Fati, because really ever since the season has ended, there's been immediate speculation about his future. And I think we all expected that, you know, given the way the season went for him, given the fact that he really didn't get hardly any playing time at all. The club, of course, wanted him to leave back in January. He said no, he didn't want to leave, he wanted to stay. He wanted to see basically if he could work his way into the team. And I think ultimately Ansu has seen that's not really going to happen. You've got to go elsewhere. I know he's on a very good deal at Barca, and I know he's very much entitled to that contract, but I think even Ansu realises, okay, I need to play. I need to go somewhere where I'm going to get opportunities where I can try to recapture my absolute best level. And that appears to be Monaco. That is where he is going to be going this summer. Barca and Monaco have been in talks now for several weeks over Ansu Fati. Over the weekend, those talks just ramped up a little bit there. And what we're going to see right here is a loan deal for Ansu Fati. Now, the wages on this are absolutely key. That is why Barca don't really want Ansu to stay at the club. They want him to leave, whether it be on loan, whether it be on a permanent deal. They want those wages off the wage bill. We're talking right here about over 100,000 euros a week. So it's big money there for Ansu Fati, and especially somebody who's not really playing. So Barca want that off the wage bill. Whether Monaco are going to pay that full salary, that is going to be interesting right now. Are they going to pick up the full tab there for Ansu? But what they will apparently have is a buy option worth reportedly 12 million euros. Now that is interesting, because I think immediately there people are going to say 12 million. I mean, really? 12 million in the modern day market? That is incredibly low. And I mean, I know Ansu hasn't been playing. I know that he's had injury problems. I know that recently, you know, there's not too much to draw upon. You know, you can say he's an incredibly talented player, but have we seen that recently? You know, it's been a long time really since we've seen that kind of quality from him because of the lack of minutes. But I would still say that 12 million is still low though. But what Barca will have apparently, if that gets activated, is a huge sell-on clause. That's going to be included in the deal there. So it may be 50% of any future deal, because if Monaco then sell him on in the future, if Ansu does explode again perhaps, Barca then would be entitled to at least maybe half of that money. So we may get more money further down the line, but up front there, 12 million, that's if they go ahead with it at the end of the loan. Let me know what you think of that, guys. Do you think that's fair? Do you think that is a reasonable amount? Or is that a little bit on the low side for Ansu. Which does then bring us on to talk about the goalkeeping situation at Barca, guys. And just to keep you updated here on the Joan Garcia situation, yesterday we spoke about the fact that basically everything was done. There was a full agreement there that has been reached between Joan Garcia and Barcelona, and that still very much stands there. It is all good. This deal, it's going to happen. We are going to sign Joan Garcia this season, this summer, for 25 million euros. But of course, this deal here, it's all about the release clause, and it's all now about when is that release clause going to be paid. You know, you all know how it works by now. That money has to be deposited with La Liga. The clause there has to be activated, and then the player is effectively bought out of their current contract. And apparently, Joan Garcia's agents seem to be implying that next week will be the time there where that release clause is officially paid, and Joan Garcia then can become an official Barca player. But I think right now, it's all just a bit of paperwork, you know, talks ongoing with the league, all different kind of things like that. There's always a few hold-ups along the way, you know, things can take a few days to get all ironed out, but this is going to happen. Make no mistake at all, Joan Garcia is going to be a Barca player, and he is going to be the favoured goalkeeper next season, because then let's talk about TER STEGEN. Because what's interesting right now about this situation is that Barca at this point, they haven't actually spoken with him. It's not as though they've gone to TER STEGEN here early on in the window and said, look, we're kind of planning on life without you. We're kind of planning here, ideally, you leaving the club. We're going to bring in a new goalkeeper. He's going to be the number one. We don't really require your services anymore. That conversation has not yet taken place. And TER STEGEN confirmed that whilst away on international duty. He said, basically, rumours about the club wanting to sell me, nobody's spoken to me yet. You know, nobody has spoken to me about that. I don't know about the situation. But he says he's not worried. He is not worried at all. TER STEGEN says he will definitely be at Barca next season. So those there are big words. He is very confident. He is very, very calm right now about his future. He knows, of course, that he has a contract at the club, with that running there until 2028, don't forget. So TER STEGEN, he does have that on his side. He does have that contract to fall back on. But what's important here, of course, is about the playing time. You know, does he want to play ahead of that World Cup in 2026? Does he want to be the main goalkeeper at Barca? What will happen there if he didn't play throughout the season? Would that really affect his chances of playing at the World Cup with Germany? I would say, personally, that it definitely would. And what was interesting then, though, is that TER STEGEN understands, it seems, that Barca may be looking elsewhere, that may be looking to bring in a new goalkeeper, but again, he just doesn't really seem that concerned about it. He said it's natural for the club to look to improve. We want the best players, whether it's in goal or in any other position, but he said, for me, it's always the same. I want to give my best, I want to be on the pitch. I think I've done well in recent years, and I will keep working to be on the pitch. So it almost seems as though there, TER STEGEN is saying, look, I know they're trying to sign a new goalkeeper. I know that Joan Garcia, he is the name being mentioned right now, but I know how well I've done. That's his opinion, that he's done really well in recent years, and he still believes that he will be out there on the field. So that's what I think here, guys. That conversation between the club and TER STEGEN, it's an important one. I think it needs to happen soon. Barca seem to sort of play this as they're going to put a lot of things out in the media. They're going to sort of stir things up in the media first and then talk to TER STEGEN later. I think it's very much time here to sit down face to face and ultimately tell this guy, we are not counting on you. You may feel as though you've done well in previous years. Maybe, to be honest, that is the problem. Because I would say that TER STEGEN, over the first years of his Barca career, there's no denying his quality, there's no denying that he helped us there. Certainly looking at the Champions League in 2015. But 2015 is 10 years ago now. We are a decade on from maybe the pinnacle of those times. You know, you're looking for improvement, you're looking here for consistency and quality, and I just have not seen that in recent times from him. So for him to say there, I've done well, I definitely do dispute that, and that is why the club need to approach TER STEGEN. They need to make their intentions very clear, very early on this summer, and then we'll see what his stance will be. However, guys, what is going to be really fascinating this summer, though, is not necessarily in the goalkeeping area, because I think we can really understand already what Barca are trying to do in that area. It's all kind of set in stone. But I think the interesting one, it's going to be at left wing, because it has been very much the club's ambition now for several transfer windows. They want to sign a left winger. They want to bring in more depth there in the wide areas. They want to add quality to the squad. And Hansi Flick as well, in a meeting with Deco, he really did emphasise that point too. And what is interesting right now is that Liverpool's Luis Diaz, he is really high up on the list. And that also comes not only from Deco, let's make this clear here, Deco is a big fan of Luis Diaz. He has sort of pursued him now for several transfer windows. But Flick also really does like his profile. They seem quite aligned on that, Flick and Deco. And I think we'd all agree here that if Hansi Flick wants someone, if he can see somebody in his team, if he can see the vision, I think we'd all back him on that. You know, he has done enough here in his first season at the club for us to say, okay, we trust you, Hansi. We have got your back no matter what. So if he likes Luis Diaz, I am willing to be very much open to that. Because look, he's a good player. There's no denying that here. He is a quality player who I think could definitely suit Hansi Flick's team at Barca. But the big stumbling block for me, and I think for many Barcelona fans, it's all about the price tag. You know, we are talking here potentially about 80 million euros. Now, I'm actually covering my eyes while I'm saying that. 80 million euros. Now, surely we don't pay that. We are not thinking about paying 80 million for Luis Diaz. This is a player, don't forget, he's going to be 29 in January. 29 years old, they're 80 million. You can't do that. You know, I don't care now if maybe we're getting into a better financial situation. If anything, that tells us what we've been doing up until now. You know, being very clever in the market, being quite calculated with our moves, that's paid off. You do not now want to go around just throwing money around like crazy. So 80 million for me, don't do that. Do not pay that for Luis Diaz. But apparently, according to the media, as these days have gone on, as the weeks have gone on here, it started to come down maybe. If Barca are actually going to go for him there, and he does have a contract at Liverpool, they don't really want to sell him, so it's not going to be an easy deal to complete at all, but Barca would not want to pay that much for Luis Diaz. They'd want to try and bring that fee down, because ultimately, guys, say we did go there and pay massive money for Luis Diaz, I could see it being exactly like when we signed Coutinho, whereby we gave Liverpool huge amounts of money, and they went straight out. They signed Van Dijk, and they signed Alisson, and they really did work on the core of their team that really propelled them to success for many years after. We don't want to do that again. Don't supply Liverpool with money to rebuild their team from signing just one player from them, guys. So there's no doubting here that Luis Diaz, he fits the bill, he fits the profile. I can understand why Flick is a big fan of him, and I'm certainly willing to back Hansi Flick here right up until the end. But we do have to be clever in the transfer window here. We have to be clever with our money. If we can bring that fee down, if we can negotiate, what kind of fee do you feel would be a fair one? If we did go out this summer, if we did want to sign Luis Diaz, how much would you pay? What is a fair price? Which is then when it gets very interesting, because again, sticking with that left wing position, well, then you've got to talk about Marcus Rashford, because potentially here, if we can't get the first choice, if we can't get the big signing that is Luis Diaz, well, there may be other options for us. And Marcus Rashford, of course, he's wanted Barca for quite some time now. Even going back to the January transfer window, he desperately wanted to join us there on a loan deal. Couldn't happen because Ansu Fati did not leave the club. Otherwise it would have. In the end, he went to Aston Villa, and I think he certainly improved there. His levels certainly increased under Unai Emery, and he got back to something, you know, maybe not his best, but something a little bit better than what he was producing at Man United. And let's be honest here, United is not an easy place for anybody to play right now. It's not easy to play good football. Even if you're the best player in the world, it wouldn't be easy for you to perform at Man United in their current state. But what is interesting right now is that Barca may be willing to go back in for Rashford this summer if they do still require a left winger. But I think it's going to be more towards the end of the window, because what's happening right now is that Man United want 40 million. And again, some of these valuations, they're just not realistic. It's just not an amount there that we are even going to think about paying. And Aston Villa didn't want to either. You know, they said at the end of the season there, thank you, Marcus, but we're not paying that. Absolutely no doubt at all, because he's also on very big wages too. And Man United this summer, they are desperately trying to generate funds in the transfer window. They are struggling, by the way, financially. Man United here are really desperately moving around, trying to get money, going on end of season, pre-season tours. And it's funny, all the kind of things that people laughed at Barcelona Barca about? You know, struggling financially, struggling with fair play, all the things that were so funny with us. It's now starting to spread to other big clubs as well, which is very, very interesting to see. But yeah, Man United are desperate to generate some funds this summer. They want big money for Rashford. That's why I think it's most likely here that Barca just wait and wait and wait. And that apparently is something Rashford is willing to do. He's willing to wait right up until the end of the window when maybe either that valuation comes down and down and down to an actual respectable amount, or could it be another loan deal? Could it be towards the end of the window there? Again, Amorim doesn't want Rashford at the club. They desperately want to shift him again. They don't want to keep him there. So would they ultimately be forced into another loan deal to get those wages off the wage bill at the end of the window? That's what Barca will be looking out for. If the Luis Diaz deal doesn't happen, there will be alternatives. And one of those, it is Marcus Rashford. So indeed, guys, as you can see right now, plenty going on, plenty happening at Barca in this summer transfer window, and I also think as well, there's still plenty more that's going to happen too. Barca are making some moves, they're really looking into things behind the scenes, and it's all going to be very, very interesting to see how it plays out in the end, guys. But let me know, how you're feeling right now, looking at the goalkeeping area, looking at the left wing position as well. Are there other areas in the team that you would also like to see targeted? Let me know all of those comments down below, and of course, guys, now I'm back from holiday, the uploads will be here. They'll be nice and regular, and there'll be plenty of updates for you all the time. Thank you indeed for the great support, for all of your enthusiasm, and I will see you very soon in the next one, guys. But until next time, as always, Vejka, Barca.